Trump responds about Khashoggi. Will my prediction come true? Let's talk about it. Middle America with Vin and Story, y'all. So today, President Trump released a statement, and I'm pretty certain, considering the cadence and verbiage and the amount of exclamation points in this document, that it was written by the man himself. It's at whitehouse.gov. I'll provide the link in the description. I'm going to read certain excerpts of it. I promise you, you'll get the full context of it. But here is what President Trump said. It starts off saying, "America first!" exclamation point. "The world is a very dangerous place!" exclamation point. "The country of Iran, as an example, is responsible for a bloody proxy war against Saudi Arabia in Yemen, trying to destabilize Iraq's fragile attempt at democracy, supporting the terror group Hezbollah in Lebanon, propping up dictator Bashar al-Assad in Syria, who has killed millions of his own citizens, and much more. Likewise, the Iranians have killed many Americans and other innocent people throughout the Middle East. Iran states openly and with great force, death to America and death to Israel. Iran is considered the world's leading sponsor of terror. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia would gladly withdraw from Yemen if the Iranians would agree to leave. They would immediately provide desperately needed humanitarian assistance. Additionally, Saudi Arabia has agreed to spend billions of dollars in leading the fight against radical Islamic terrorism. After my heavily negotiated trip to Saudi Arabia last year, the kingdom agreed to spend and invest $450 billion in the United States. This is a record amount of money. It will create hundreds of thousands of jobs, tremendous economic development, and much additional wealth for the United States. The crime against Jamal Khashoggi was a terrible one, and one that our country does not condone. Indeed, we have taken strong action against those already known to have participated in the murder. After great independent research, we now know many details of this horrible crime. We have already sanctioned 17 Saudis known to have been involved in the murder of Mr. Khashoggi and the disposal of his body. Representatives of Saudi Arabia say that Jamal Khashoggi was an enemy of the state and a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. But my decision is in no way based on that. This is an unacceptable and horrible crime. King Salman and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman vigorously deny any knowledge of the planning or execution of the murder of Mr. Khashoggi. Our intelligence agencies continue to assess all information, but it could very well be that the Crown Prince had knowledge of this tragic event. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't! Exclamation point. That being said, we may never know all of the facts surrounding the murder of Mr. Jamal Khashoggi. In any case, our relationship is with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I understand there are members of Congress who, for political or other reasons, would like to go in a different direction, and they are free to do so. I will consider whatever ideas are presented to me, but only if they are consistent with the absolute security and safety of America. As President of the United States, I intend to ensure that in a very dangerous world, America is pursuing its national interests in vigorously contesting countries that wish to do us harm. Very simply put, it's called America First! Exclamation point. Well, I was wrong in my prediction in my previous video. I think you can see over there. I predicted that Mr. Trump would put down some sort of sanctions on top of the 17 people who were sanctioned, and do sort of a slap on a wrist against the country of Saudi Arabia. Nothing really serious, but something to indicate that we don't support this type of killing. I was wrong. He's going to do nothing. What's interesting to me about this letter, there are a couple things to me that are very strange to me about this letter. And this is honestly the first time I'm reading the entire thing. He says, our intelligence agencies continue to assess all information, but it could very well be that the Crown Prince had knowledge of this tragic event. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I'm pretty certain the CIA has come out and definitively said that he had knowledge of the event, including him and his brother having knowledge of the hit, and that after they killed him, they communicated back to home base that they had killed Mr. Khashoggi. So he's making it sound as if the CIA kind of has this like internalized debate about whether or not he did, and they came back and was like, you know what guys, this is inconclusive. Pretty sure the CIA said with a lot of confidence that they've got very good reason to believe that the Crown Prince was behind this. So this is the sort of retelling of history, and maybe he did, maybe he didn't. And then he says, we may never know the facts of surrounding the murder. No, I think we all pretty much have a good idea. Mr. Khashoggi fled Saudi Arabia because he felt like he would be on a hit list. He was right. I saw a Kurt Cobain shirt one time that said, just because you're paranoid does not mean they're not out to get you. And in his case, he was paranoid as regards Saudi Arabia for a very good reason. And so, I think we all know what happened. Mr. Khashoggi was lured in. He was murdered. His body was disposed of, and then the goofs, the 17 goofs with their horrible tradecraft, mistakenly wore the wrong shoes when they tried to have a body double go out and pose as Mr. Khashoggi. Now 5 of these individuals, maybe more now since Trump posted that letter, are going to be sacrificed on the altar of U.S.-Saudi relations, I suppose. But this is not... I think for someone like Trump, who kind of makes his money off of saying, hey, I'm just going to be the real guy about things, and I'm just going to tell the truth when the emperor has no clothes. I just think if he wanted to go this route, he should have just said, yeah, I know the Crown Prince killed him. I mean, it happens. Terrible. I don't condone it. I think it's terrible, but we're not going to change our relationship with Saudi Arabia because we've got financial and domestic policy interests over there. Which is essentially what he said. The point that I'm making is I don't understand why this beating around the bush as if there's some mystery about, you know, who was ultimately behind the death of Mr. Khashoggi. He should have just came out and said what he said. Now look, I have said before, the United States has taken part in targeted killings of our own citizenry. Anwar al-Awlaki, the son of Mr. al-Awlaki, was also targeted and killed under the Obama administration. So we've done it as well. The difference, of course, is that Mr. al-Awlaki was an avowed militant who declared jihad against America and was actively recruiting other folks to do jihad against America. Mr. Khashoggi was not. Now, of course, he then the only real major surprise to me about this piece is when he quotes representatives of Saudi Arabia say that Mr. Khashoggi was an enemy of the state and a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. And he then basically says, that doesn't affect my decision to not do anything about this. That's pretty low. That's pretty low. It's like, you know, when I used to watch Matlock when I was a kid, and Matlock would say, isn't it true that you killed that guy because you needed to pay rent on the 5th and, you know, you were about to get evicted? And then the prosecutor says, objection, Your Honor. And then Matlock turns around and says, okay, strike that from the record. Like, that's what just happened. You basically, you know, Trump understands his audience. This is the same group of people, a lot of people, no disrespect, but honestly, these are the same people that gave credence to the birther movement. These are the same that would believe this, right? And so the minute you put enemy of the state and Muslim Brotherhood up there, there's going to be a whole bunch of folks in America going, well, I mean, hey, you know, that's just as much in question as whether or not the Crown Prince killed him. Well, wait a second, Crown Prince, which is it? Because if he was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood and he was a militant against your country, and you killed him, then there's no shame in that. So, does that mean that you are admitting that you killed him, or what? Because I'm pretty sure Saudi Arabia's policy with folks in the Muslim Brotherhood, especially prominent ones, is that they capture and kill him. So which is it? Or is it Mr. Trump knew good and well that Khashoggi had nothing to do with the Muslim Brotherhood, and he's just putting that out there so that they have more causes to basically backhandedly justify the murder of this guy. That is extremely dangerous, y'all. That's dangerous. Because now what happens is, if you're a dissident member of the media, I can just stamp Muslim Brotherhood terrorist, enemy of the state on you. Where have we heard enemy of the state in regard to journalism with this president? And then we can justify your killing and we'll move on. Completely low, terrible, dangerous, scary. Ultimately, this came back to, you know, America first. I think Trump is not writing to people like me. He's not writing to who are kind of like on the fence with him, right? He's not writing to people like me, and he's not writing to people who are outraged about what happened to Mr. Khashoggi. He's writing to the base that elected him. There's enough on here. America first. We're gonna create jobs, and this guy was part of the Muslim Brotherhood. That's enough for folks to say, oh, okay, this was all right. And we've got our moral dignity intact by continuing to support Saudi Arabia. Now look, ultimately, the job of the President of the United States is an extremely difficult job. And there are major issues that these folks have to balance that we have. Look, this is an extremely difficult balance because, like I said, we do need friends in the Middle East. And every country that we've been allied with has taken part in clandestine operatives killing people. Those are undisputed facts. Okay, there's a lot of open source documentation out there, not difficult to find. So, look, so we have that on one hand. We've participated in it. Our allies have participated in it. On the other hand, in the current milieu that we're in, for somebody, a member of the media, to be murdered in this fashion, and for there to be no honest or real recourse about it, speaks volumes across the world. And it may be, we may look back at this in 10 years and say this was a precedent-setting moment where journalists became open season. Or it may not be, who knows. But if I was a horrible dictator of some country, I would be emboldened by Trump's response here. There would be no cause for pause for me to go and to hold back and not do this to some of my own countrymen who are speaking against me. So I think this is not a good. This is probably one of the worst things I've seen Trump actually do as a president. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. We will be hosting a fireside chat about this. A fireside chat is when you get to call in and actually have a discussion with me, because this show is not just about me bloviating for 20 minutes or whatever. Call me. Let's talk about it. If you think that this was a good move, if you think that this made our country better, and if you think that we upheld some sort of moral integrity in the world with this decision in this letter, let us know. Middle America, guys, we are the media. Love your neighbor, take care of each other. Gone.